The Square Ball Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the show. It's brought to you in association with Levi Solicitors, who will do what, Michael?
10% off your legal fees.
Every time.
Still 15% on certain things?
Yeah.
The big three?
Yeah.
Your wills, your probate, your conveyancing.
Correct. Where can they find that?
Phil Hayes Show.
Yep.
Or whatever it's called now.
Ask Phil.
The Phil one.
Yeah.
Dr. Phil is trademarked, isn't it, probably?
Yeah, 15% off wills, probate, conveyancing.
The Phil Hay Monday Club that's on Wednesday this week.
Yeah. But that's why we're not calling it Monday Club anymore. We just need to call it something. Well, I don't know. Well, you figure it out. We used to be anti-baits. Now we're pro-baits.
That's pretty good.
Do you like that? That wasn't mine.
Yeah.
That was our friend Gamble who came up with that one. Probates. Do you know what probate is, don't you, Michael?
Yep.
What is it?
Oh, I don't want to go into details.
Well, there's a show to get on with. Is that what it is?
Yeah, let's just talk about Daniel Farke.
Go on, just quickly mention because we're doing this for Levi's.
Probate, yeah, it's like the execution of a will, isn't it?
Correct. So it goes hand in hand with the will. Get your will sorted out. Make sure your probate's done right. Do it with Levi's. 15% discount if you go via the Monday Club shows. Have a look on those. YouTube and in your podcast app. In the meantime, Moscow White's here as well. Daniel Chapman, hello. We haven't seen you for a while. You've been busy with the summer special, haven't you?
Yeah, summer special's dead good, so everybody better go on to thesquareball.net and buy it. Otherwise, I'll be really sad.
Uh-huh.
And you do get money off if you're a TSB Plus subscriber.
Yes, you do. You get £2 off. And it's only £8 anyway to start with. And I don't know what else you're going to spend £8 on that's any good.
This absolute shilling of
That's
things.
something else. You get £2 off if you are a TSB Plus member as well. That was supposed to be a limited time offer, but I forgot to turn off the discount. So if you are a TSB Plus member, you can still get on there and get it for cheap. And if you're not, you can become a TSB Plus member and you can buy one of those beautiful shirts. And even they're like half the price of a Leeds United, whatever Leeds are going to bring out anyway. So, and better.
Well, we'll do Farke in a minute. Should we mention the training wear? We've seen some of the training wear, haven't we? I guess we can segue neatly into that from our own shirt.
Cosplaying as Celtic.
We're cosplaying a bit as Celtic and a bit as Rangers, I think.
Green?
No, I'm thinking
'cause the
blue.
other ones are blue, aren't they?
Yeah.
I had to scroll down to the other range.
It's like the old chants on the Kop in the 1980s. One half would be Rangers, one half would be Celtic. We're really leaning into that. I'm surprised they didn't put that on the blurb. You know, when they come up with meaningless marketing bollocks on the blurb, they could have done that.
Yes. It's a proud tribute to...
sectarianism.
Yeah. We have done this, so make your choice.
And we've had confirmation as well of Great Bunch of Lads boxed as the shirt sponsors, which is good, isn't it?
It is good. Yeah.
At least the logo will look better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Proper letters in proper spacing and no mixture of numbers and whatever the old guys did.
Well, we got kicked off the Premier League tour, didn't we? Because I don't know if you noticed, we got relegated. So Fulham took our place, and now they're taking our shirt sponsor, and I think they're welcome to it.
They can have that. Yeah, I mean, it's quite nice to have a company that you can actually use, buy stuff from.
Yeah.
Because Spotop and all these betting companies that don't really exist in the UK, it's all I feel very uneasy about the whole thing. So,
yeah.
Boiler's a boiler, isn't it?
Boilers and aircon, can't fault it.
When we play West Brom, that's going to be televised, isn't it? In the Championship, the Battle of the Boilers. Because they're boiler sponsored, I believe, aren't they?
Ideal.
Not for me.
Less than as their they should be.
I don't think
nicknames.
I don't think he travels, does he? Though the boiler mascot, because they do have a dressed up man, don't they? As a
The Boiler Ultras.
But the boiler.
What do you mean it's a dressed up man? It looks like a boiler with legs to me.
Well, it could be. No one's seen inside, have they? Who knows what lives inside it?
Can I inspect inside you, please?
Will Box T be having a mascot? And
Be nice about Box because they sponsored our charity walk.
I know they did.
So
I'm not saying anything. I'm asking whether Box T will also have a...
Call them by their proper name.
They will always be Box T to me. And so they could have, up against this person who was dressed as a boiler, they could put somebody dressed as a box. Just any misleading. And then you've got a choice of boxes. It could be a really strong iron box, pretty much undefeatable, or a cardboard box, which I wouldn't put up against a steel boiler.
I think water could take care of either of those boxes, though. The iron one in the long term, it'd rust, wouldn't it?
Well, if they're boilers, like their whole purpose in life is to ingest water, heat it up, and then spew it out again. I'm not sure what part of the family entertainment it's going to be. It was like when What was the Lurpak trumpeter called?
Douglas,
the little
tromboner. He was into tromboning.
That awful incident when there was liquid butter started flying out the end of his trombone. He was at the front of the East Stand. That's why they had to replace him with the Kop Cat.
Wow, what a picture.
But the training wear looks nice, and it's good to have a proper sponsor. So those are two good things.
Well, there's training wear back to our old friends, Championship friends, Unibet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can't escape these things. It seems to be part of the territory. Once you're in the Champo, you must have like a second-rate, some kind of second-rate betting sponsor. So
Unibet, we wore on the shirts in the tour to Australia, didn't we, when Bielsa was here?
Well, I believe they are owners of 32 Red.
Right.
So it's all basically the same company. So it's a choice of what thing you have on you.
Okay.
You wear, because Unibet were on our training wear when we had 32 Red as the main sponsor. It was basically the same people, and they're all in the same game.
Michael, will you be buying any of this training wear when it gets heavily discounted in spring?
I did buy some this year, not the orange, not the bright orange stuff, to be clear, but
Yeah.
I did get a couple of things for like when they were like went to a tenner.
Is that because it looked like Wolverhampton Wanderers?
What, the reason I didn't buy it at full price?
Yeah, and well, not on the, like a man approaching 40 wearing a bright orange shirt.
Oh, that stuff. Oh,
Screams
God, yeah.
danger to me.
Yeah, probably.
Or maybe it's just I'm thinking of you.
It's hard to hide in bushes in it as well.
Yeah.
Stand out a mile.
Yeah, you're easily spottable, aren't you? Whereas this green one.
Perfect.
So if you want to...
I know Moscow's wearing a green camouflage today, actually.
Green and
Where?
The
Hey.
the other thing to compare is, so it's £35, which is the same price as our Admiral yellow shirt, and you cannot buy our yellow Admiral shirt in Sports Direct unbadged for £5. So there's immediately there an advantage to shopping TSB instead of these guys.
I do feel a little bit put out by that. The fact that you can get it unbadged far cheaper. Put a bit of effort in,
And,
lads.
and if you're going to put the Leeds badge on it, at least it has to have a bit of texture on the badge. Have it. We've just received actually Izzy Brown's shirt, haven't we?
Yeah, we have
That he's
actually.
sent us. We're going to do some sort of raffle charity thing with it, but all the texture on the player badge, lovely.
It's got real depth to it, hasn't it? It's like that flock wallpaper that you used to get like in the 80s that you could sort of press and it had looks like a 3D image. It's like that, isn't it?
Yeah, this is very clearly just Adidas got like a big line of people going tss, 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 just steaming on a badge, very flat. I want texture. I want stitching that you can get on a square ball.
I mean, they are
Shirt, for example.
stitching on those badges, and even the Admiral logo is stitched beautifully as well.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody. I'm
This
pleased.
has been the only reason we're talking about this training
Like a
gear
10-minute advert so far.
Instead of talking about us getting a manager at last is so that we can try to sell some more of our own shirts, basically, isn't it?
Yeah.
So hurry up with the proper kit reveal so that we can trash that and sell our own gear as well.
We're going to look glorious. I'm sure it'll look nice looking, on the basis of what we've seen of the kits so far that have been leaked. It'll be grand. And Daniel Farke will be wearing the green top.
It looked well in it, I think.
He turned up wearing his own polo shirt yesterday, I noticed.
He's he's an independent man, isn't he? I think that's very much the vibe of what you're tapping into when you channel Farke. Farke, sorry.
Farke.
It's because we've been spending time with Phil and he keeps veering between Farke and Farke. Farke.
Daniel. It's about time we had a Daniel in charge, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I like him. Don't know about you. I've really warmed to him.
I always liked him. That's why I did such a lovely tribute to him.
Yeah.
All those years ago.
Although you did tweet out yesterday, "I'm sorry, Daniel." Was that to me or to him or to?
It was to Mr. Farke.
Yeah. Why?
I feel like I've undermined him now. I didn't mind undermining him when he was Norwich manager.
Do you think there's going to be a backlash? Do you think we should have an internet backlash? Are you going to get cancelled? I hope you do.
I probably will. People will be like, "Oh, it's out of order."
It's not funny anymore.
Now he's Leeds manager.
You're trying to undermine the promotion bit, aren't you?
Yeah. So I'm a bit worried about it now. I preferred him when he was
At arm's length.
at arm's length.
Yeah,
Although
yeah.
actually, I say that I am kind of relieved we've got him because he was once we got beyond the weird Premier League dreams of going, oh, we might still get slots, we might still get Pochettino, all these people that were linked. When the list got whittled down to the more realistic candidates, I did look at him, Vieira, Scott Parker, Corberan, and think, yeah, best one, isn't he?
Yeah, I've been quite enjoying the sort of quiet insistence that the 49ers have gone through. Like a very detailed analytical process. All the calculations have been done. We've had the best boffins on this for weeks, and then like real scrutinising the track record and real high pressure presentations and meetings and interviews. It's just the guy who's won it twice before. Like, really, they could have. I'm sure they did do all that, and it's all great, and it has come to a good answer. Probably could have just said right at the start, like, should we just get Daniel Farke? No, go do all this stuff. Like, okay, what does it say?
We've got to pay somebody to do the analytics.
Yeah.
What did the analytics show? Well, this guy's done it twice before. He's quite good at it.
Did he get like 97 points last time he was in this division?
Yeah.
There you go.
Give it to him.
Might work.
Yeah, it might work.
It's kind of obvious. I think that's the thing with it. We've become so used to Victor Orta's methods that doing something that seems really obvious is in a way a bit.
It's a bit jarring, isn't it?
Yeah, it feels unsettling in a weird way because it should be the opposite, because you should just go, oh, no, that's good, but you can't sort of go, oh, I don't know, is it?
Well, you look at it and you go, I can't have any objection to that, and you're so used to thinking, I don't know, you're starting to make bargains in your head, like, well, Thomas Christiansen has, you know, he played for Barcelona, so he's been at a big club, so he knows about expectations. All right, he's not done it in a higher league, but he's here for the long, and you start making these. And
he was great for us. I don't know what your point is.
Well,
I still love Thomas Christiansen as well.
Who has the better voice between Christensen and Farke?
We didn't hear enough of Christensen, did we?
No. All I really remember him saying is, well,
these are my players, and for them I will die. I think I probably prefer Thomas Christensen's because I don't have your voice in my mind whenever Daniel Farke is speaking. So that's the thing. And also, Thomas Christiansen, we know, loves cats because his cat Giason9 has its own. You're about to Instagram account.
Hit a truth bomb on us, aren't you? A canine truth bomb.
Whereas Daniel Farke hates dogs. Yeah. That's what we've discovered so far.
He just didn't like a picture being taken with one.
But why not two? And they were the cutest. I mean, if anybody's not seen that he was being filmed outside the East Stand yesterday and people going for selfies with him. And I think from reading the replies that these two lads had already had their photo taken with him, like 12-year-old boys, and then you could see them hovering in the background, each one carrying possibly the most adorable puppy you could invent. I don't know where they'd got them from. And they're all like, and then just as, what's he called, our manager? Farke, Daniel, is about to get into his people carrier. They're like, oh, do you want a photo with the dogs? No, not with the dogs.
What? That's not how it sounded.
It's pretty much. It was one of his louder moments.
That's not how it sounded.
We got angry, Daniel. How did it sound, though?
No dogs, thank you very much. I don't like them too much. I'm a bit scared of them.
Are you allergic to them, Daniel, or is it just a fear thing?
No, I just think they might bite me, and it could be really, really sore. Yeah. And I've got training to take, so I can't be having a little bite on my ankle.
He was also, because there's the famous thing about him riding a horse when he left Lippstadt. And apparently he was a little bit fearful of that as well. He was not up for the idea of riding a horse, but it was the owner of Lippstadt was like, no, everybody wants you to turn up on a horse. It'll be great. So I don't know if he is just like a general animal hater.
He didn't like the horse. I watched an interview with him when he was Norwich manager on YouTube.
What did he say?
He said, I did not like the horse, and I don't think the horse liked me. So is what he said.
I'm just looking at the photo of it now, which is worth having. If you just Google Farke horse and click on Google Images, you'll see it. It was suggested that he looked like he was Native American, wasn't it? It was a play on a local legend, which again, you're probably not going to get away with cultural appropriation like that these days.
It's a well-established German stories about a Native American character called Watano, who was friends, and his friendship.
How have you remembered this?
His friendship with Shatterhand, old Shatterhand, sorry. And there's like
if you get that, you want thicker toilet paper.
There's loads of books written, like a series of books that are very famous in Germany, and one of the few works of German literature that the Nazis did not ban is an interesting piece of trivia. They were happy for people to keep reading about that. 1960s, there was a film with a French actor called, I think, Pierce Brice or something like that.
I was going to say that.
And so there's a French actor dressed up in red face as a Native American in a series of films, and Daniel Farke is supposed to look like him, and kind of, and so that became his chairman at Lippstadt was kind of promoting the thing of like, oh, you look like, and nicknamed him, would call him Watano. And so like the last thing was, he was like, I'm going to get you on a horse. I'm going to have some people dressed up as Native Americans with you on the horse. The horse is wearing a nice hat, covers its ears.
It's more like a doily, like a lace doily, like your nan used to put under a vase on her coffee table.
And then all this leads up to, as Daniel himself says, mutual antipathy between him and the steed, which now we're learning is also, I don't know if the dogs had any opinions on him, but he certainly did not like them. So it needs to be, I think pre-season training is one thing, but I mean, if Pat Bamford leaves, we'll know it's because he's taken against Duke, his adorable Labradoodle. And who else has got pets? Jack Harrison was recent. I've not listened to it yet, but he was on a dog training podcast that I want to,
Of course he was.
check out because he's I think he's got an Alsatian that he's always been training on Instagram that struggles with obedience. But the people who are doing the training seem to be making some good progress. At least they're willing to let Jack Harrison go on the podcast. Not sure he wouldn't if he was going to say like, "Yeah, you guys are rubbish. My dog's a total tyrant." But yeah, so if all the players with pets end up leaving, and Daniel Farke enforces just a cute animal-free Elland Road, the fucking Kop Cat's in trouble, isn't he?
That's true.
I think the way this is going to play out, probably, because the club will see it's bad PR, that dog's going to be invited to the training ground.
Right.
It's going to get to meet all the players.
That's all.
It'll be the mascot before it goes. It comes out on a lead.
Brought with his parents.
Daniel Farke just like weeping in the dugouts, crying, "No, I hate this."
Anyway, all I was going to say was...
He did say when...
If you Google image it, he's puffing his cheeks out. That's all I was going to say.
Doesn't look too keen. Because as part of his first round of media, he's saying that they had to convince me. What did he say?
Yeah, to convince me. I can't remember what he said.
Just make it up, you
I'll have to do
idiot.
it line for line.
Yeah.
Which is quite a good thing to hear, that he's not just gone... like Steve Evans always had that thing, he was absolutely desperate. He was like, yeah, Massimo Cellino said, if I get to punch you in the face. But I was like, yeah, I just want to manage Leeds. Whereas Farke's like, okay, Leeds is a great club. That sounds like a great job. But you people who are now almost owning it, I don't know who any of you are. So, like, why should I want to work with you? Which is a great attitude to take. I kind of
Classic
like that.
Playing hard to get Moscow.
But I wonder if part of that was also like, will there be any animals? Because I cannot. And then the first day that somebody's turning up with dogs, and he's like, no. So there may be some hardcore renegotiation going on.
Just a little postscript to the horse thing. Doing the Google image search has actually led me to a change.org petition. And it's a Norwich fan by the name of Adam Harding who specifically petitioning Stuart Webber. Let's celebrate whatever happens, what has been a dream season for all Norwich City fans. What better way to celebrate than for Stuart Webber to bring out Daniel Farke on a horse at the last game of the season for a lap of honour. And that has received 547 signatures out of the 1,000 goal.
Yeah, it's pathetic, wasn't it? Even the Norwich fans couldn't get bought into that kind of Tim Pottery.
Well, one of the commenters who has signed is a gentleman called Stuart, appropriately named Stuart Horsepole, who has said, like to see this.
Yeah,
Is that one of those where if they get 100,000 it has to be debated in Parliament?
Believe so, yeah.
Maybe we should give that a go. This is because that's the thing with. I know a lot of Norwich fans are kind of really not keen on this, so now they know how it felt when, how I felt when they took Luciano Becchio away. But we will make better use of Daniel Farke, and there is because you'll also find on YouTube the Daniel Farke rap, which I got about 30 seconds through that from some Norwich fans, and it was terrible. And the chant, they had a chant about a horse, which went as follows. Farke's on a horse, what a great team to support. We've got Leitner, Buendia and Rhodes. Timo Pukki can't stop scoring goals. The greatest in East Anglia, we're going up.
Scans.
And then also, why would you the greatest in East Anglia? It's like, yeah, we're better than Yarmouth. There's not much to, like, say when Leeds...
It's bitch.
Leeds fans sing, we're the greatest team in the world. I mean, Norwich aren't so bad that they can't be like, greatest team in East Anglia and maybe Cambridgeshire as well.
Just being realistic.
But we've got a real opportunity here.
The Fens.
To make... to take everything that Norwich did about Daniel Farke and just do it loads better. Because I don't think they'd like that.
That's very Leedsy, isn't it?
I would enjoy that.
Being absolute arseholes about everything.
Mm-hmm.
I do like him, though, I have to say, because I've gone down a few YouTube wormholes with him as well, watching old clips and stuff. He always comes across very well. He's a very likeable man.
Is he, and this is possibly an extra ball member show episode here in its own right, the manager with the best, glossiest hair we've ever had?
Thomas Christiansen, again, is... is raising his hand.
Like I said, maybe it's a conversation for another day because I think we need to do research on that.
The young Darko Milanic would also like a word at this point as well. He's got things to say.
That's true.
As would the very young Simon Grayson.
Why do you like him, Michael? What is it about him that floats your boat?
Pint test. Would go for a pint with him. I know you've talked about this before. And I think compared to...
What would you talk about?
It'd be you apologising for an hour.
It really would.
But I'm so profoundly sorry.
No, it would be you apologising for half an hour, and then by that time you've had 2 pints, and then you've got the confidence in it to start doing the voice back to him.
I wouldn't. I reckon in person he's quite an intimidating fella. He's quite big, isn't he?
Well, that was. You're taking me back to the dogs again. He's been lovely to everybody, but then suddenly the temper came through, didn't it?
It's true. But no, I don't know. I think it's the contrast between him and Marsh / Allardyce. Gracia was somewhere. I mean, he was almost nothing, was he? Gracia, the way he was, the way he kind of put himself out. It was just. He just seemed a very quiet man.
If you went for a pint with Gracia, do you think you'd just be like sat there really awkwardly, like willing him to say something?
Just one word answers.
Yeah. You're right then, have it. See
what happened at half time against Palace? Nothing. Yeah, but something must have happened. No.
We're gonna get food in here, or
should we?
I have eaten. Okay, cool.
Was Big Sam, it'd just be non-stop. What a great guy Robbie Keane is. The laughs we had at Soccer Aid. Well, I mean, you can see on that, whenever you see the videos of his podcast with Tim Sherwood, like that is what it is like, isn't it? And nobody wants that.
Yeah, you instantly feel a sense of goodwill towards Farke, I think, don't you?
He just seems...
Because he's done it before. And
he seems just like a nice, sort of fairly humble, enthusiastic man, which I think is something. And the fact that when in some of the interviews I watched from Norwich as well, he was essentially forced at Norwich to go out and acknowledge the fans because he said he likes to just stay on the sideline and let the focus be on the players, which I contrast to Marsh, like celebrating 4-0 defeats, going around pumping his fist, and I think, do you know what, good. Well, I don't mind some of that again.
That was also Marsh was getting slacking Marsh off again. Marry that to then saying, I don't want the fans to sing about me. Yeah. Do not sing about... He was like, I don't know, I don't want to hear it. But then also he's like outgoing, like, fucking yes, 4-0. So that was the thing is, I guess the part of the contrast is that sincerity to a point, because I never could work out with Jesse Marsh kind of what's him, what's Mother Teresa, what's Red Bull, what he actually means when he says, please don't sing, but also love me. All that stuff was very,
hard to decode. Yeah, I agree.
Whereas Daniel seems much more easy to read. Although he did, I think we'll have to see what he does. But apparently he would always go and acknowledge the Norwich fans from quite close quarters. He'd go over and give them a little clap at the end of every game. So whether that turns into him going out there going like, yes.
And he ticks all the boxes in the interview as well. He's done the one with the club where he was talking about, best atmosphere that he's experienced in England. So he's saying the right things there, isn't he, to the fans, like he always liked Ellen Road.
And he's not over-promising as well.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. A lot of it was, I don't have any players. Training starts today. We play Cardiff in like a couple of weeks. They've lined me up a game against Scum in another country next week, apparently. So I don't know if I can do this. Because he did kind of go to that as well, where he's like, look, I've won it twice before, but that doesn't mean I can do it again, which maybe is not something he said in his interview with Kinnear and the Niners.
Say it doesn't guarantee it.
It does not guarantee it.
Thank you.
But all that stuff is actually quite sensible. I think it's a shame that we can't just go, yeah, we're going to absolutely waltz this division because we're Leeds United and we are the best. He actually kind of tapped into something that we were talking about after relegation, which was all about the kind of the knock to our big club status that we felt because, we are the 1975 European champions, true, but then also, as he was saying, we've been in the Premier League for 3 seasons out of 20. And so it's kind of like, at what point, if you speak to a 21-year-old and you say, oh, yeah, Leeds United are like biggest team in the country, they'll look at you as if you are just an old person wittering at them about weird things that never happened.
They'll blather on about your FIFA stats.
So he's quite...
You'll zone out and resent them.
He's quite sensible in a way to sort of tap into that and go, look, we need to just recognise where we are and get out of that.
So good all round then. And has it given you a renewed sense of optimism? It has me. I'm quite looking forward to the new season now. I was saying this over when we recorded with Phil just prior to this. Kind of a new thing to get your teeth into, isn't it? Some new players to love. And because this is the thing, you're never more optimistic than you are just going into the first game of the season. And with new players, you think, I've got the potential to love you all. I don't hate you all yet.
Matthew Spring, Jermaine Wright, Julian Joachim finally found his home.
Luke Murphy. Great debut.
That was a great debut.
Yeah, I feel the same though. I feel like I want a quick clear out now. I want the players who are leaving. I just want them to go instantly. I don't want them hanging around. It's like, if you're going to go now. Don't even come to training. It's fine.
I don't think they are they?
Just go and spend your time sorting out where you move to, wherever you're going to. It's fine.
It does feel like a hard reset this summer, doesn't it? Like we've gone for a proper nuke the lot. Owner, director of football, managers obviously changed.
Coaching staff are all
Marcus Abad has gone.
Yeah, I was going to say he's just posted actually in the last 10 minutes.
Has he announced his arrival at Sevilla yet?
Not yet, but he has said it has been 6 impressive seasons, an incredibly wonderful professional and personal adventure. Thanks to so many people who have passed in this time. Naming them would be endless. Everyone who has made Leeds United has made me very happy. Being part of this club has been one of the most beautiful things in my life, and it will always remain in my heart. MOT, come on Leeds. Marcus Abad.
I'm now picturing, it's just popped back into my mind, but one of the, he puts lots of training videos out he's got his own YouTube channel and stuff, Marcus Abad, and there was one where it was a training exercise with Bailey Peacock-Farrell, and he pulled off a save, and then he really cockily kind of tosses the ball behind his back, and it just slowly rolls over the line. It's one of these beautiful, because the thing by BPF by the end is he really just didn't give a fuck. Pontus Jansson was always screaming at him, and he's just like, he would just turn his back on him, ignoring him, and he just like pull off a saving training and just throw the ball in the net anyway. But yeah, Bailey Peacock-Farrell, Hiko Garcia, Ilan Melier, good when he arrived.
Wiedveld?
Felix Wiedveld, God. Andy Lonergan, who...
The list of keepers he's ruined is endless.
Andy Lonergan won the Champions League after leaving us, didn't he? So there's the clear out stuff, isn't there? And then I think the most exciting thing, well, not about exciting, but reassuring thing about Daniel Farke is that the plan, he wouldn't talk much about... Actually, that was quite good in his first interview as well. It's like, everyone will talk about attacking football, but it's what they actually do about it. Like, you're not going to get a manager going and go like, yeah, I'm going to be rubbish. My style of play is going to be dross. So he was pretty right about that. But we know from, and he said, I'm just going to do, like, nobody will be surprised by the way my team will play. They're going to pass to each other. And that's the thing that I'm most kind of just, the biggest thing. And there's a risk and an opportunity of where we've got to with this season after Marsh as well. And Victor Orta is probably responsible for this, because as it stands, with Tyler Adams probably going, Rockers, like, I am sick of hearing about him going to Real BTs. He needs to just get that done. And Adam Forshaw's out of contract. And then we've got Archie Gray and Darko JB, who are children. Weston McKennie went away. We don't have any midfielders. There are none. There just aren't any. There are no midfielders at Leeds United. So
do you need some?
That's a problem, but it means now that Daniel Farke can come in and can just go like, right, we're going to be playing passing football, so I need him, and him. And so we don't have to worry too much about him trying to retrofit a passing game onto Weston McKennie. Not a problem. It's so we can start fresh in that entire department, and that makes me feel quite good about things.
I'm looking forward to that, because I didn't like it last year.
What did you like? All the losing in that?
We kept losing.
Even when we won, it was quite bad, didn't we?
We couldn't pass to each other.
No.
And I liked it when the previous manager, guy from Argentina, don't know if you heard about him, very much about possession football and dominating the opponents. And I heard what Farke said, and I thought, that sounds quite like that, and I enjoyed that.
Well, I watched, because we're going to do a guide on it, when Norwich came to Ellen Road with Farke and beat us 3-1 in Bielsa's first season. And both teams play far better football than we have in the last season and a half. Like, both teams actually pass to each other. And seem to have something of a plan, which is quite refreshing after some of the dross we've been watching.
When he was talking about what he was going to do at Mönchengladbach, which didn't go great, but then I think with his year at Borussia Mönchengladbach was that they've had 3 coaches in 3 seasons, and each one's lasted a season, and then they've finished basically mid-table every single time. So it's kind of, they seem like a bit of a weird club, like not getting out of a mid-table mire, a bit like Leeds in the Championship in the mid-2010s, where it's just
15th.
Yeah, it's just the same every time. So we'll see whether not being able to break that cycle is a bad sign for us. But his style of play is possession-based, dominate possession, like defend by keeping the ball, but then with structures in place for when you lose the ball to make sure that you defend well. And it really sounded like what we should have just gone for straight after Bielsa, because it's what we all wanted after Bielsa. Like when he got sacked, we were thinking we just need somebody to keep doing this, but to be more solid out of possession. And I think that's basically Farke and Norwich previously, because Norwich, if you wanted to be generous to them with their 2 championship titles, like a little bit more of a boring Bielsa's Leeds, like similar kind of principles, but not the man-to-man all over the pitch and not the relentless all-action, and obviously nowhere near as good because it was Norwich. So it like definitively could not be.
We've upset enough people now then. Should we stop? I think we've hit our rate limit for today, haven't we?
Which should we talk? There is a point, I suppose, about the risk, the potential downside. The worry I have with Daniel Farke probably relates to his Norwich time, because those 2 promotion seasons, Timo Pukki scored, I think, a zillion goals in each, and Emi Buendia a zillion goals and a zillion assists. And I wonder, and then there was a very easy line to draw where Buendia plays, they win. Buendia doesn't play, they lose. And then the second time they got promoted, they sold him, replaced him badly, and they just lost all the time. So it's almost reductive to say it's probably true about everybody, but it's whether it applies with Farke to an extent is, does he need really good players to be a good coach? Bielsa's thing, and we don't want to have to compare him to Bielsa every time, but it's kind of the counterexample. He took Heckingbottom's Leeds like full of people were chasing Calvin Phillips out as if he was Mark Rocker that summer, and he turned him into an England international who goes to play for Manchester City. He took all those players and made them brilliant. Farke has a good track record with youth players, putting youth players in, but also, are they already good players? It's a question. But then, is he going to be all right without a Buendia to do all the goals and all the assists and make all the creativity happen and make his system work? Or the other option is, why don't we just sign somebody like Buendia and then we don't have to worry about it? And he can, because the evidence with...
Well, that's the opportunity, isn't it, rather than the worry? Like, it's the chance now.
Well,
for
it is
to
the worry, because if we don't sign somebody that's any good, then that'll be bad.
In the sense that this is what we know works with him, so give him the tools to do it and don't fuck it up.
Yeah. But I guess it comes back to the interesting philosophical question about what is the role of a coach, and if a coach, needs... Because his success is all at Norwich, essentially. The then Krasnodar, where he didn't manage a game because of the war, and then Mönchengladbach, where it's just a bit meh. And before that, not really looked into his time with Dortmund reserves in particular detail, because I got a life. And then before that was Lipstadt. So it's all about that Norwich team, and what that Norwich team did was it was great when it had Buendia, and then as soon as he went, awful. So there's kind of a chance now to either prove that he is the great coach and it doesn't necessarily matter who is in the team and he can do it all, or we just copy that. And we should have signed Buendia in the first place. Norwich should never have been promoted because Farke is a fraud unless he's got that guy in his team. And Buendia was playing for Cultural Leonesa alongside Wazim Boy and Yusuke Ideguchi, a club that we were allegedly partnered with through Qatar's Aspire Academy, and their best player, who then was sold to Aston Villa for £35 million, exactly our model, that you pick up a 21-year-old for £1.5 million that Norwich paid for him, and then you sell him, you get promoted, you win the championship twice, and then he gets sold to Aston Villa for £35 million. We didn't buy him.
We've got a different model, though, which is buying these promising young players for quite a lot of money and then loaning them out for no money, which is also good.
Well,
I think the Brendan Aronson model is perfect.
Well, that's a different. I mean, that is the weird thing about the transfer policy. There's various things about how that moves players off of our wage bill, and the FFP stuff kind of works out as well. And also with Aronson, I guess he's got such a long contract. If he goes and he's absolutely brilliant in the Champions League next year and somebody wants him permanently, then we're not selling him as a relegated Championship loser who looked feeble in the Premier League. We're selling him as one of the strongest Champions League players in the world, a potential epoch-defining GOAT. And so we get more money for him. So it's kind of, I can understand...
What you say is you don't want to be selling him from a position of weakness.
Yeah, so it's kind of, we let him go and play somewhere else and look really good for them, and then we still get the money if somebody wants to buy him permanently.
A position of weakness is how he starts every game.
Anyway.
I must admit, I don't really care that any of these players are leaving, but I'm sort of annoyed that they seem to be joining better clubs. I'm a bit like, no, fuck off. You don't get to go to the Champions League.
Football's full of idiots, though, isn't it? But look at like the management career.
You don't get to go to Rome. But look
at like the management career of like Paul Ince and Mark Hughes. People just keep employing the same people in football, regardless of how good or bad they do, because they think they can do it better than the previous lot.
Well, and that's always the thing. I mean,
I don't think he's a bad player as well. I think he was ill-suited to the Premier League, and he was ill-suited to his scrap. Much in the same way, actually, when we were going to do, we're onto the midfielders, aren't we, on the members show, doing a sort of in-depth analysis of the season that's just gone. And on McKennie, spoiler alert, I don't think he's actually a bad player. I just think I was an absolutely terrible fit for our club and a terrible fit for a relegation battle.
And he was terribly unfit.
And terribly unfit. Yeah, you got there before me.
Which you just had to put pictures of him at Leeds side by side with him he was at Schalke before, wasn't he?
Going to Dortmund now.
And, well, yeah, if they'll have him.
Says his little friend.
He's sadly he's gone private again as his little friend.
But he's hungry for the attention. He'll unprivate himself.
He's ruined my retweet when I referred to it as heavy meal football.
Yeah,
which was a nice play on Dortmund, but you can't even see it now. What a waste! What a waste!
But I get there's that cycle of, and also got a lot of criticism for the broken toys thing, but I don't think it was always. He's not alone in thinking that every club, everywhere, apart from the biggest ones who can just buy ready-made players, are thinking, I could get a tune out of that player. Oh, they've not made the best of him.
It's like it's the vanity of a sporting director or a manager, isn't it?
I get it's vanity, but it's also necessity, because if you can't just buy, the finished Erling Haaland, then you have to look for the players who kind of need some work, and so you are going like, they've not really got the best out of Pat Bamford at Leeds over the last few years, but I reckon I can get him fit and I can get him scoring again, and he'll be the new Haaland. You have to do that because you can't afford to buy the actual just completed players.
Right, we will wrap it up there for this time then, and come back to this one next week when I dare say there'll be quite a lot to talk about. Feels like stuff is happening now.
Thank God.
Yeah. So do you want to say goodbye, Daniel?
It's been quite defeating, hasn't it, doing these podcasts? Like we were due to do one potentially Monday, and it got to Sunday night, and we were like, there's nothing to talk about. Let's push it to Tuesday. Then Tuesday came around and we're like,
Phil has to go meet Daniel Farke.
So still nothing to do.
Picking your new friends over us.
Well, there is that. But yeah, it's nice that things feel like they're happening. And we got some games, haven't we, as well? More friendlies.
Yeah,
Speaking of Phil.
And Phil, of course, is on holiday, as he always is.
What's the other one? Oh, Monaco in York.
Adolf Hutter. When written down, that looks awfully close to who. Yeah. Anyway, we will wrap it up there. We can talk about the friendlies and all that exciting stuff. We can preview a friendly, can't we, next week? Can we? Is that soon?
In depth.
Yes, it is. A week today we are playing Trafford Rangers in Oslo.
Right. Well,
because we are.
Well, if you're buying an
because they wouldn't let us go to America.
If you're buying an £80 ticket for that, good luck to you. Enjoy it. We'll be back next week, and obviously we've got more Phil Hay later in the week, and we'll get the inside track on what's happening at Daniel Farke's Leeds.
Is this a cue for me? I'm not sure. I'm not Daniel. I'm just his friend.
We'll speak to you soon.
The Square Ball Podcast.